sending out the links to all these people. I can remember them all. So just give me a second. If you're, you might be getting alerts if you follow our channel. If not, I'm just going to be sharing them everywhere and talking about everything while I do. Yep, that's coming. Okay. And let's get the YouTube links. If you're out there and you can hear me, please send in your questions. We are counting down the last hour and 15 minutes of the Kickstarter. And I'm answering all your questions. I'm going to be posting this around so we can get some people coming in. It's been a long haul. It's been 3 years. Well, it's been 6 years of making role-playing games. Basically, back in about 2017 or so, I decided 2016 really. I decided I was going to start making RPGs, and start trying to sell my own ones. And it's been a hell of a journey. This time we're going to probably take a little bit of break after this one, but I think we've done a bloody good job, I think. I'm now going to pop over to the Kickstarter and post this as well. All right, do we have any chat? No, we don't. Do I? Will I see it when it comes in? Hopefully I will. We are recording, we are streaming, we are live. Let me know if you're out there so that I know, because occasionally I'm going to stop talking. And that would be bad. Last time I did this, I ended up just sort of leaving it on for the last hour going do 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 to my happy little self, which is not entertaining for anyone. I'm going to do some combinatorics calculators, because if we do 10, 11 cards in the expansion, Doodly dum dum. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Tell me if you can hear me. Tell me if you can hear me. Hopefully. Hopefully, everyone will be able to follow this and join. Count down the last little. I'm just going to talk about the score. So, thanks for joining us. If you're out there, I'm sure we have 870 people on the mailing list. We have 1,000 people on TikTok. We have 600 and something people on the Facebook, and those are pretty small numbers as numbers go. But we don't really have any that's all. That's without any real financial backing and advertising or anything. So I think we've done very well. We've been to so many cons and we've talked to so many people, and you've all been really, really supportive. The great thing about this job, and the great thing about making games is the people. Really, it's a cliche, but we really love putting our game in front of people and seeing their emotional reaction. We're a long way away from our audience most of the time. So I actually really love going to events, and I love, the interacting part. I don't find it, stressful to try to sell my games, because it's really just a kind of teaching. It's just going, look, this is what I've got. This is what we've made. This is why we think it'll be fun. We can show you how it is. If you've got no time or you don't think you'll like it, off you go. It's not really that much of I don't find it stressful, and I don't find it predatory. I know there are a lot of people who do predatory things and sell things in a way that puts pressure on people. And yeah, I'm happy to do that in a way that I find is a helpful way. I don't think it has to be like that. Anyway, I'm going to stop doing things all at once and hopefully just tell you some more things. I'm just actually looking up a combinatorics calculator because now that we have 18 plus 10, 28 cards. Is that right? Yes. And you can choose 18 of them every time you play. That means there are, just calculating the zeros, 13,123,000 different ways you can play the score. That's quite a lot. I have I suppose if I had to pick an area of games that I'm good at, it's party games, but it's also role playing games. Of course, I have won many awards for my role playing games, and yeah. That means though the games I want. When one says this, that's good because the games I make are small, which means that they cost less to make and less to ship around the world. But it also means that we can't charge as much for them, which means kickstarting them and getting the big numbers is often harder to do. That's another buyer coming in. We are at 474 backers, which is about, look, by my calculations, we needed to get, hang on, I'll do the calculations again so I don't get it right. So I do get it right, blur. With an average of about $33 per jar, I was hoping to hit, well, to get to 16,000 divided by $33, we would need 450. We were knowing we would need about 450 backers, and we got there. We were hoping for, in the end, 500 or 600 or even more, because you're always hoping, because every dollar above that is something that we can actually reinvest. You know, everything we do is put back into the company. We are not paying our salaries. We are not covering ourselves for our work. There are a lot of people out there who claim they can make a lot of money in this industry, but they're usually fudging some sort of along the way. Yeah, but we're probably gonna have to take a break for a year or so. Just, we're gonna get this out. We're gonna support it, but you know, we are unable to juggle some of the demands of life, and keep getting these games out. It's a beautiful art form, and we're paying our costs thanks to you. But we also need to pay ourselves and also look after ourselves. And Yeah. Oh, another rock and roll and rock game, roll and ride game. Amazing. I think this actually might be the worst possible time to be online, because I think the Americans are all asleep, and it's got to be what time is it in England? It's probably about 6 in the morning. So yeah, I think we've actually found the one time that when almost all the world is asleep, and the the Australians are all on a bus or a train going. Thank you so much to the guys at the Rookery, the folks, Andy, and I'm forgetting his lovely wife's name, which is going to annoy me. Uh, and James Wallace. Lindsay, that's his wife's name. And there were some lovely questions there. Um, what I want to test is whether this thing is working. So please, if you are watching this, hang on, can I change this? I want to see if comments are coming in. So if you do seeing this, please write something and see if I am. We should be joined by some folks soon. Why is this there? No. We might be at PAX this year, but we don't know because we are tired. And by we I mean me. So we will see how we go about that. Hopefully by then we will have copies. But we'll see how we feel. We'll see how our brains are going. Someone. So we were talking today on Twitter about what do people actually want. So one of the things we wanted to go in with this campaign is going. This game is not large. It is not a huge goddamn cardboard behemoth, is the word we used. And the truth is, a lot of people want cardboard behemoth. They do, and that's fine. And I don't think the market's going to turn any great way against that. At least not soon. Nobody should ever bet against nerds wanting to collect things. And getting weird messages and I don't know why. Oh, right, that's why. Okay, fantastic. Problem solved. Thanks, computer. We've offered something. We've made a value statement. Thankfully, people have responded to that value statement. They want the product. They think we've made them a good deal. These days, a board game selling 500 copies is a big deal because the market is so tiny. And, even really, really successful games are going to struggle to sell 10,000 copies. Even evergreen games are hitting those numbers. And so I think we're going to see probably, basically that if you're going to make big products, you have to be a very, very big company. And we've never been a very, very big company. That's why our games have always been small. Relics was a big, big game, but it was all black and white to save some money. And there were things like that we did. So we do what we can to get out the games we want. And this also appeals to me because, I don't mind, even in RPGs, I don't mind something that's a bit chunky. I do like playing with toys, but I'm also someone who moves around a lot. I don't play games at my house a lot because I don't own a nice house. And I'm always on the road. I don't like to travel. I like to travel light, and I like one of the original names for my game company that we considered was called Back Pocket Games, because I wanted a game you can carry in your back pocket. And the score is going to be small. It's going to be 40 cards. It's going to look exactly like this. A few extra cards. It's going to be this lovely and compact. And the character sheet, but it's pretty small. It really will fit in your pocket. And it really can be played anywhere. You can just whip this out and go, right, who wants to play a role-playing game? This is all we need. Shuffle this up, deal it out, and we're playing. And we're telling a story, And I'd like to explore that a little bit more, I'm also working on another storytelling game, but that'll come later. We'll see how we go. And yeah. Oh, there's the chat button. Why is this hiding everything? There we go. Oh, there's even an overlay. Hey, an overlay. There we go. Now I can see comments. Fantastic. Couldn't see why that was going on. All right, so we are now in the very last hour of the score. We will be funding in 114 minutes. Wow, 2 hours to go. 114 minutes? Yep. 2 hours to go. That is 7 p.m. tonight. So what happens next after we fund? Well, it's a long process. It takes usually about 48 to 72 hours for the money to clear, and then maybe even longer, sometimes up to a week. Then we have to we're meeting with our distributors. We're putting together our surveys. We were originally going to send out the print and play as soon as we possibly could, but we need to add the new cards, so that's going to take time. Everything takes time. Game design is, a slow process. It's not. I was gonna say it's not as slow as making movies, but yeah, it is. It really is. Um, a lot of my friends put out games way too damn fast for me. Um, but so be it. Um, what are the new cards going to be? We are still working on the wording on those, so I'm not going to tell anyone that just yet. We will see how we go. I'll be working on those probably tonight, actually, to just finish up the wording. But I'm not going to do it online. I'm not going to do it while I'm doing this now because I'm talking to you. 110 minutes. But no more backers coming in. As I say, this is the worst possible time. We actually didn't pick a good time to launch. But yeah. Going to post that YouTube link again. You generally want to launch earlier in the week. You generally want to launch late at night here, probably, or in the afternoon, maybe middle of the day here to catch the right times. But yeah, we do what we can with what we have, where we are, and we try to make a little bit of money and not go insane. And when I say a little bit of money, I mean non-reverse money. Just to be clear. We are also waiting to hear back from the folks at Roll20. And about our account, because our account is in limbo. We don't know. We can't seem to log into it, which means we can't get that digital form working for us just yet. But we will soon. I wonder if I can pause this. That's a good question. lot of people work very, very hard on making a digital presence very, very pretty, and I don't know anything about that. I'll just see if I can pause this. I don't know if I can. I'll stay on because I think it might reset if I stop it. It's telling me that one person is watching on Twitch, but I think that's me, so no idea. Everything is confusing and nobody knows what's going on. That's good. I'm very glad we hit our mark. I really am. We have much to celebrate, and we've got the ability to put another game out there onto shelves, and into people's hearts. Which is great. I think this is a very good game. And that's cool. It's cool to make a game that people like and that you can afford to print. Dum-de-dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum. I have this card somewhere. I've just got to find it. This is the glamorous life of the game designer. He looks things up. Da, da, da. Stop looking at things. Shan't. Yes. Somewhere we had an idea. We actually had one extra card. Here it is. And we're going to just leave it. Is that not how you spell focused? Why don't I know how to spell focused? That is confusing. Focused only got one S. It only has one S. Weird. Yeah, okay, one S. Yeah, it's a slash. We don't use or. We have codes, yeah. That's important to know. Get the language right. Hello. Do you think yoga-related stretch Kickstarters make stretch goal jokes? That's a very good question, Gareth. Hello, everyone who's now watching. Thanks for joining us. Sorry, I was away in La La Land for a moment there, working on the new cards that we've just reached stretch to. I always thought stretch goal should be like some sort of superhero or Bond. I mean, we've got Stretch Armstrong, or Stretch Goat, maybe. Stretch Goat, the amazing kickstarting ungulate is the word I was reaching for. What the heck is that? Oh, okay. When I write things in the chat, it's telling me all sorts of things about them. Let's go and have a look at the count now. 92 minutes to go. And we are at 475 backers. Very nice. Very, very nice. If we can get to 500, that'd be great. But that would be a lot in the last minute. We had a lovely uptick in the last 2 days, which put us way up over 15K, which is very exciting. And our conversion rate actually is 25%, which is really good. Man, people keep changing their... No, they don't. Just one person changed their thing. Oh, lovely. I'd love to see people who tip, though. That's amazing. Or maybe they want extra copies. Stretch goal is an interesting term, really. Of course, they're all fake, mostly. I mean, we wanted to make this whole game. I really think we might seeing, as I was talking about earlier, when there was somebody else on, is you would like a card that just says dog. Yeah, but what if the dog is being used against you? We are thinking about having animal as one of the goals of things you're heisting, because that has happened every now and then in stories. Heisting the pets, airlifting an animal. Maybe the target could just say woof, 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 woof. That's a good call. That's a good call. Yeah. Yeah, the main reason there isn't one is because we wouldn't want people to be like, oh, well, the bad guys have dogs, so we give them all belly rubs. We don't approve of people using dogs and security because it's not nice for the dogs. You should use lizards, obviously. Anytime you try to break into somewhere, just lizards should just fall all over you. Because lizards love that shit. They love it. This is such a weird medium, isn't it? I think it does work better if there's someone else here for me to talk to on screen rather than talking to people who are posting things in the chat, or if I was doing something like playing a computer game. I understand how the Twitch works now. I have been talking to a friend about doing some broadcasting with him. But we will see. It also depends on how my bones knit in the next week or so, because it's quite stressful running a Kickstarter like this. A big security stick insect. Yeah, that's good. I was thinking about that Raiders of the Lost Ark the other day, and they had like just a room full of stick insect. That was, and that's good. Also makes me think how during the G8 that we had in Brisbane, there were these rules about you weren't allowed to bring reptiles into the area. You couldn't bring reptiles within a mile, within a kilometer of the zone. And it's like, you don't get to judge me. You don't get to tell me where to bring my reptiles. And that meant all those dragons that lived in Roma Street Parklands, they were illegal dragons. Although I guess they weren't necessarily crossing the lines. Start a solo game with a score. That is actually a really good idea. I haven't done much of the solo. I did test it, of course, to make sure it works. All right. Here we go. So, first thing I will do is shuffle this deck and get us down to... Now, for the solo game, we actually recommend using 15 cards rather than 18 because it's a bit punchier that way. But it makes a great story for being a sort of James Bond kind of expert. And you're going to get 9 cards for your abilities. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to get 15 of these. Oh no, the first thing I'm going to, I'll start by getting down to 15. Here we go. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Just got to realize you can't see what my hands are doing. And for those who are wondering, my shirt says, "I'm designing a board game in my head while you talk." Unfortunately, it was not a very high quality shirt. Anyway, shuffle, 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 shuffle. All right, let's get rid of some of these until we have 15 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, let's go over there. Let's see what we are heisting today then. We're going to deal out 3 cards. We've got stocks and bonds, diamonds, or jewelry. Ooh, very good things for thieves. All right, so these are very thievy things. Stocks and bonds. Yeah, can't bring reptiles in. I'm always working the angles, you know. I like diamonds or jewelry, and we've got Tomb, Ruin, or Tomb or Ruin, Mega Casino, or Skyscraper. I think I like Skyscraper. And I like well, it'll be diamond. I think it'll be diamonds or jewelry, so probably jewelry from a Skyscraper. Now, for this scenario, we like to have. I'm going to be some sort of gentleman thief, expert, one-on-one, super spy, something like that. And sorry, I'm just getting an alert on the book face. Yep, that's fine. All right. So now I'm going to find out what my amazing skills are that allow me to heist stuff. So I am good at signals, controlling the signals. I'm good at concealment. I should write these down. Signals, concealment. Next one is hacking, of course. Stage magic, nice. That's my way in, obviously. Break and enter, yep. I'm an old school thief. Safe cracking, yeah. I probably just tour around pretending to be a magician while robbing people blind. I'm a genius. That's a good card. Stealth, of course, for a cat burglar. 2 more. Deep cover. Oh, yes. All right. So maybe I have someone in the inside. And finally, disguise. Yes, a master of disguise and stealth. That's a lovely suite for an expert. So what I'm going to do now, as always, is shuffle those back into the deck, and then we're going to get rid of. We're only going to get rid of 3 cards from here because we're only going to insert. Actually, no, we will get rid of 4 cards, but we're only going to put in. We're only going to have 3 acts, I think. That reminds me, I better check. So we get rid of 4 cards without looking at them, so we don't know what's going to be in this movie. All right, and then we're going to get. We could do 5 acts. Let's see if we can. So we've got Act 1 goes on top. Where's Act 1? There it is. Act 2. Act 3. Act 4. And then Act 5. And we're ready to go. Those will be some short acts, but that's okay. I like a good twist. All right. Here we go. Act 1. I'm approaching. Well, actually, no one's around. Forgery is our first card. Okay. So, this is the thing. We want to steal the most valuable diamond in the world because it can't be forged. It is an imperfect pearl that's the size of a watermelon. And it's a natural pearl, so it's completely imperfect. And it's the most rarest thing in the universe. And we can't do an old switcheroo. What I normally do is I get costume jewelry, and I just switch it in and out. The rich people never know because who checks that sort of thing? And that's sort of, my satire of the universe. I am making fun of these rich people by just going, your shit's not actually worth anything. But in this case, can't forge it, can't fake it. I'm just going to have to steal it because it's proof that I can do whatever I want. Surveillance. I normally spend months scoping out a joint, but this is going to be here for one night only. It's being brought in for a display. It's being given by some rich asshole to his daughter. And then it'll be whisked away to some Middle Eastern country where she'll live behind bars for the rest of her life, wearing it on her head. And this is my only chance to get it. So no surveillance, no forgery. Very, very limited amount of time. Deep cover, right. But I do have an in. And that is that I have a guy who is my hotel guy. And he is an event manager, right? He knows exactly what's going on, and he's arranged for me to be the entertainment. So that is my one way in. I've got to be the stage magician. I'm going to be performing on the stage for the dignitaries, doing one of my tricks, and then I have a limited amount of time to get away and steal stuff. Act 2, off the rails. Okay, so now here I am, coming in, ready to perform. Gunplay. Uh-oh. All right. Well, I don't use guns, of course. But somehow someone here has gone, you're going to stay under surveillance the entire time. They've got guns pointed at my head. Leave the stage, do anything funny, they're going to kill me. And they don't care because they're horrible people from countries that can just get away with this kind of shit, which, America. And they're going to kill me if I try anything funny. So I have to be very, very careful. Now, I was planning on using disguise. So, of course, I came in as my public identity, and I was about to slip in to my other identity. But let me see. I was supposed to disguise myself as staff, but as I'm sort of going over to get the clothes that I was going to switch myself into, the guys who with the guns just follow me too closely, and my hotel guy's like, no, I can't get you. You can't change into staff. So I have to come up with another plan. Driving. Well, my other plan, my second backup plan, was, of course, to be a valet. So I haven't got my costume. I turn up in my and I can't get to a car. So the driveway, I was going to go down and just get a car, pretend to be a valet, but there's just hundreds and hundreds of cars down there. Security out the wazoo, and I'm like, oh, okay, they've got tanks, they've got crazy things, they've got security. That's way too much. Act 3, things are going all to plan. Right. Well, you see, this was actually all part of my plan. I looked amazed when I saw all the cars and the tanks and everything in there, but I drew my break and enter card. And what I'm actually doing is stealing one of these security vans that the police have brought in. So there's all these just huge high security vehicles, and now I'm just like, yeah, I'm going into them and use their security against them. So I break their lock, and I'm inside one of those super tech terrorist fighting vans. And now I've got all the screens coming up, and I'm watching everyone, and I can see the pearl making its way across the table. History. Oh man, are we getting so many that I don't have? Should only be 6 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's the last one, right? Well, history. So this has been the real problem, is that there's someone else who's coming tonight to steal this thing. And that's why I went for the van, because I can now see him sneaking in through the top. That is Jacques Flambeau, my ancient rival, who has come here to steal the unstealable. And that's maybe what I'm really here for, to show him up, to make sure he doesn't steal it. Yeah, it was our history together, of course. He expected me to steal it. I expected him to steal it. That's why I went this way. Act 4, concealment. Well, I'm an expert at concealment. That's true. So when I leave this terrorist thing, I've actually tagged everything to tell the security people that Jacques Flambeau is coming in through the ceiling, while I slip out with the police radio and police belt under my clothes. So now I am actually part of the security, and I've got guns and I've got all the things that I couldn't sneak in. Oh no, I'm in Act 4. It should almost work. Whoopsie. Well, just as I'm walking off, they're going, "Hang on, you got to check in your radio." And I go, "Oh yeah, sure." And I hand back my equipment, unfortunately. But they're all rushing off to get Flambeau. Act 5. Oh, just 2 scenes left. It's going to be tough to pull this off. Signals, right? Yes. Well, this is where my expertise comes in, of course. While I was in there, I was actually uploading a pre-recorded tape into the system. So as I hand it back, I actually push play on the device that I'm handing back. Of course, Jacques Flambeau is also a stage magician. Yes. Look, 90% of all stage magicians are actually cat burglars. It's just how they make money. So I start activating a complete control system. So all the security systems that are in all the buses and tanks and cars start going, and they're getting all these false reports. They're seeing people running around backwards. I basically fed them a complete false story of where everyone is. So they're chasing after Flambeau, but they're also getting, there's another, records of other false things, ghosts in the system, everybody just going around. And so they start chasing their tail. They're running around. They shut the whole thing down. They're chasing each other backwards and forwards. But I'm in a cop uniform, and the last card is stealth. So I'm actually basically invisible. Everyone is watching these cops run everywhere, and I'm just going around going, "It's okay, everyone. I'm just here to make sure you're okay. I'm just going to secure this scene. Why don't you come with me, madam? Now that you've got your pearl, and I'll make sure you get to safety." What with all this, those guys running around trying to kill each other and all the hubbub. I just escort everyone back to a safe room and help them, secure the object. I hand it over to my guy in the hotel, who's like, "We just take care of this for a moment," and then I'll just say I'll be back in a moment. And I use my concealment skills again to slip it into my pocket somehow, slip it into something, into a top hat, back into my stage clothes. I return to the scene, and I walk out the front door, and that is how you steal a pearl. That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of negative cards there. What did we get rid of? Genius, stage magic, hacking, and sleight of hand. Sleight of hand, okay. I think I may have miscounted this somewhere. How did I get all those negative cards? Maybe I can't do maths. Anyway. The campaign rules. Right. Yeah, look, I actually haven't looked at all the things. I have to go back and look at what we wrote in Back for More. Nope, that's not it. Off to the Dropbox I go. So one of the things we talked about was basically with the campaign rules is, oh, hello, Peter's joined us. Welcome. Oh, why aren't you showing up as somebody in the audience then? Anyway, let me go and get the actual document. I'm gonna. No. was having ways you can switch your talents out. So you discard one of your talents and draw another one, or you can level them up. Let me just find what I actually wrote. Basically, yeah, you can just start again from scratch. Keep the same character. You can choose one thing to get rid of and draw another card. If you draw something, well, draw another card and get rid of something that you already have for it. And if you draw something that you already have, then you lose that skill. Let me have a look at what I say. Remove one of your talents, draw a new one. If you get a talent that you still have, it can get a tick, as what we said. If you end up with a talent someone else has, you can use the teamwork variant. And you can then, basically the main rule is swap your talents, because that's what makes the next game interesting. You're mostly the same person, but you are slightly different. You used to be Blake, called Peter, or William Blake. Small. Oh god, I've shuffled the player help cards in. Now everything's gone wrong. So we have this suggestion of a system, what we call ticks and crosses. And ticks and crosses is a thing where you can basically give yourself a super skill. That means it always works. Because some people are like, I don't like it when my skill fails. And that way you have a much, much more successful turn. Nothing ever bad happens. Well, much less bad stuff happens. But if your super skill comes up, it always works. And then you can put a cross next to a thing, which means if it comes up in the good axe, it fails anyway. And that's so that's just a way to make things even more unpredictable. And the other thing that we had for legacy for continuation is teamwork, which some people really wanted. Where did that go? Wait a second. I now realize there may be a typo here. No. We may be missing something. That's no good. Okay, that's a really good catch. Somewhere along the way, I somehow have cut the section about teaming up. I have to go through and see if I find it somewhere, or if we moved it somewhere. The cake is full of poison. Yeah, okay, we have to fix that. What the hell happened to the teamwork model? Amazing how we've read these rules over and over again and we still didn't notice this. Because you kind of read, once you start reading for editing, um, you stop looking for, and then that says that thing over there. Now, where the hell did the team up go? Okay, I've got to find that. Yeah, someone really wanted to have the idea where two people can work on something, and we put it in, and then I think I maybe took it out, and maybe I need to fix that. Yes, it has. All right, let's go have a look at the count. See if how much time we have. 66 minutes to go. 65 minutes to go. That's all very exciting. I might actually go and make myself a cup of tea, which is even more exciting, and then we can fix this part in the rules, which is good. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to double check in the Word document if I have the team up rules there, or if I got rid of. I don't know why I got rid of them. Maybe we removed them for space. No, 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 no. Yeah, we kept that in. We kept that in. Huh. Yeah, okay. That's just, I must have heisted it. All right, I will be back with a cup of tea for an exciting card down. Good evening, everyone out there in television land. There are no Kickstarter exclusive cards. I'm sorry. It's too much work. But you can make your own card. I promise. And we will send everyone a authentic dog. Oh, nice. Yeah. I do. Yeah, I do like that thing. Yeah, nationality would be great, just to be like. Of course, as a French person, I always have a baguette under my beret. Or just could be just character hook as well. So it's also just like, well, I am I am the cook as well. So of course I have to grab the pate. I remembered while I was in the kitchen what we did with the teamwork section, and that was we got rid of it because it was bad. We just forgot to go back and fix. Yeah, somehow this is like an old version or something. Yeah, I just didn't get rid of that section. But that's okay. That's why we have, edits. I will just write a note to Matt so that we don't forget that. Right. Disaster averted thanks to this live chat. Yeah, look, I think the reason that the actual, speaking of the 478 backers, ding. We are over this. We are heading towards 17K, and we have 56 minutes to go. One thing that playtesters always want is they want your game to be another game. And that's perfectly fine. That's how our brains work. They go, oh, imagine if, while we were, playing pool, we were also riding horses. Yeah. And the team up thing was sort of an idea of like, I want to build on someone else's skill, which is a good idea. But it fundamentally kind of makes the rest of the game harder to work. And similarly, if you have some sort of really odd cards that are hard to use, you end up sort of playing a slightly different game. And that's a really interesting game. Yeah. I think that's just sort of a really, I think that's an interesting game to play. And I was actually sort of playing that sort of idea with myself today when I was playing. I was generating partners characters and I was rolling random occupations and I got dentist and I went, oh yeah. But then I was like, how do they solve crimes? Okay, they're always called in when there's dental work, and we just have to constantly make every mystery involve like what somebody chewed or something. But you don't have to be constantly playing the National Treasure game where every problem can be solved with American history. But yeah, absolutely. Like, quick, figure out how this problem can be solved with American history. That's a great game. Nice. I'm not going to make any of these cards you suggest, but they're fun ideas. Sorry, just in case you were suggesting them in that sense. Um, Cameos are also good fun. Back in the day in our Buffy game, we had a lot of fun running over Stephen King all the time. Because we went to Stephen King has been hit by a car like 4 or 5 times in his life. That's why a lot of his books are about, oh God, cars are going to kill us. And we did this wonderful episode when we went to Maine instead of England, and we were just like, a running gag every time we would sort of just be like not working where we're going or consulting a map, or someone would drive past, we ran over Stephen King. Where did I see a cameo last night? We've been watching Poker Face, which is good fun. A very cozy show, which has made me want to get out Partners again, and go through some of the wonderful things that we have in Partners. And there was a cameo of the guy from the Mountain Goats, basically making fun of himself, which was good fun. You also have to make sure that all of these things are talents as well. Crossover feels maybe more like a rule. Maybe like, it could be a card. It could be a. Yeah, I was talking to Gareth about this the other day, about like these things are more like we're going to shift this scene. Like whatever happens in this act, there has to be a cameo, or whatever happens in this act, there has to be a crossover from another branch. Or draw a card from the deck that isn't being used, and that character, is a weird thing that the director insists on being there. Yeah, that's a good idea. Everyone has. It's almost the Fast and the Furious. What if you have an entire team of drivers? Well, I'm using the car to go fast, but I'm using the car to punch a guy. I'm using a car to swing on a vine. It counts as traversing. Like that bit in Die Hard 4 where John McClane runs out of bullets, so he shoots a car at a helicopter. That's sort of the opposite solution. It's like, well, I drew gunplay, but all I have is a car. The theater sports sort of improv thing of like, I know that the story is sort of going this way, but I've been handed, prop X, or and I have to go, but of course we're on a boat. That's a good example of like the fact that just because it says gunplay, well, you can determine that. However, we tried to make the things fairly expansive and interesting ways to sort of flip them and reinterpret them and stuff. Like demolitions. can be a distraction just as much as an entry system, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we had a really good game a couple of weeks ago with people who'd never played an RPG before and had no idea what was going on. But they were like, when they had the demolition moment, it was like, oh well, they were actually like everyone had the bad guys had all their guns pointed at them, and then they drew demolitions. It's like, well, that's where my distraction goes off on the other side of the island. And he was really happy that he was like, of course, I set that up. It's a Matt. Hello. Let's check this. 49 minutes to go. 47 minutes to go. No more purchases since a few minutes ago. As I was saying earlier, this is actually a bad time to count down because the Americans are all asleep and the British just got up. And the Australians are on a bus, probably going home from work or something, stuck in traffic. But we still have some Americans up late. Hello, if you're an up late American. Or indeed, if you're any sort of American. Can you guys see the chat overlay with the comments on YouTube, or is that just on my end? Is there something here on the side of the screen? I'm learning about streaming. It's a fine and deadly art. I've enjoyed the press that we did for this. It's been a hell of a 2 weeks. Thinking back, it feels like it was an eternity ago that I spoke to Keith on that first evening about Saul Bass and things like that. But we've done so much press for this thing, and I've talked on and on and on about this game. But that's good because people heard the word and it's coming along. I am probably just going to do very little tomorrow except dogs. Talk to my dogs and walk my dogs and sit my dogs and train my dogs for a couple of days. We have to work with our next step is wait till the money clears, which always takes way longer than you think it's going to do. Kickstarter has to sort of check every box, and then they send it to you. And then I have to get the survey working, which I have to. My distributors are actually away this week, so we're not going to be able to actually move on that for at least a week to get the surveys out. But game design takes a long time. It really, really does. And it's funny because some parts of it are very quick compared to some other things. Some things are quicker than other things, he said, stroking his beard. Wisdom. Now it's 44 minutes to go. Oh, it's a lovely post from my lady recommending people buy this game. It's always like this, like, could we have done more? Is there some link I didn't post? Some interview I didn't do. Did everyone see the nice interview I did with the Rookery? That was lovely. I haven't actually posted it on Kickstarter, but I'll put it up on when we finally fund. I'll put the link up there. Um, it was very nice to see Andy Law for the first time in years, and they have a very cool podcast, and it makes me want to move back to England. It's nice there. And they were saying very lovely things about me, which was nice. And we talked about how my friend Ben got a job with Andy doing Warhammer stuff. Speaking of one Warhammer, the Lustria book is announced, and lots of little things are coming out about it. And people are really excited about that. Years ago, Gareth and I talked about how much there needed to be a Lustrian book for Warhammer in second ed. And it's just sitting there waiting to sort of be like, it's over there. That's where there's pirates and jungle and all the stuff that's going on outside, Renaissance Europe, and explorers and all that kind of stuff. So people are really keen for this book. And I wrote the Guide to Skeggy, which is the only real European old world town that survives. And I've already had some fans tell me that I got it wrong, which is great, because that's how Warhammer works. It was interesting too. So it was fun to write the Norse, because the Norse are messed up in Warhammer. And so Skeggy is actually a Norse setting. There's basically a Leif Erikson equivalent in Warhammer who has gone and done this settlement. And so you have this, it's a really good setting because your characters are coming from wherever they're coming in the old world. They probably don't know much about the Norse. This place is sort of, it's not Mos Eisley. It's not like, just, everyone's different. Everyone just finds a way to trade and stuff. It's because it's run by the Norse, and the Norse have their own culture and stuff for it. So it's, you first of all have to go, okay, it is a little bit of a melting pot where everyone has to find things, but you also have to do things the way the Norse do them. There's a lot of slavery, and there's a lot of the way that Norse works is on a lot of hierarchies of braggadocio and bragging and things like that, and their culture is very different to the old world. And that's a sort of double culture shock. And then as soon as you get outside those borders, it's like, oh no, a lizard man is eating my face. Or, a large amount of con men have pretended to tell me that if I rub this stuff on my legs, then lizard men won't eat my face. And then they just took me upriver and left me to die. It's fun stuff. And there's stuff about lizardmen campaigns and all sorts of good stuff. It is now, it's like a radio program, except you can see my face. The worst kind of radio. It's 39 minutes to the end of the Kickstarter. We are at 16,618 because we had two backers come in there, which is great. Must have been from the Twitter post or something. Do it yourself social media quite a bit. About 7% of all our hits have come from Twitter, about the same amount that we got from the mailing list, which is good. And Yeah. People finding it. Oh, and our conversion rate keeps going up too, which is nice. Oh, somebody changed their pledge so that more people can pay to play with me, which is exciting. That was you, Peter, who did that. That's what I can see. Yeah. That's gonna be fun playing. Let's have a look. How many people have chosen that level? Yeah, still only 10. Yeah, we probably could have done that a bit better with the the virtual tabletop stuff. But hindsight is 2020. We knew we had a cheap product. That's always been the problem. We were originally going to charge $30, but the advertiser was like, I don't think people will pay that for only if it's actually not 18 cards. And we're like, yeah. So we had to basically having honest high goals with a very low price product, which is really tough. We wanted, I was hoping for 800 backers, but it looks like we're getting close to 500, which is pretty good. Also, I've been hearing that basically Kickstarter in the last year has been down about 20 to 25% across the board. And so there's that working against us. I think partly that's people feeling the cost of living issues. Partly it's the fact that there's a bit of a pushback. People are getting sick of Kickstarter. Everything on the internet has an arc, and I think Kickstarter is certainly in trouble because people are getting bored. But also, there's 3 really good competitors now that are just fixing all their mistakes. 35 minutes. I might watch another Height. I enjoyed Love Entrapment. It's a very odd film that was obviously sort of tried to save in the edit. But it has some very heist things in it. But sometimes you're like, hey, that bit, that 10 seconds, that 10 words of dialogue that took 2 seconds to say, that is really cool. And that's sometimes how I watch heist films. Like, I'm like, this film is garbage, but see that bit there? That was great. Should just read about people who do it for a living, which is absolutely fascinating. Oh, someone is texting me. Matt is going to get his daughter. As such, as I said, it's the wrong time of the day. For chatting online. But thank you for those who have come out and had a chat. I'm still learning how to stream. A badong. Yeah. So I'm sort of figuring out. It's been basically in the last 5 years, I've done 4 Kickstarters, 3 of which have been successful. I learned that it's just really hard to sell sequels and supplements to RPGs, which, fair enough. That's just the way the market goes. People will just want to buy a one-off there, at least at the moment. but we had like 100 backers on that. That was pretty good. We're still trying to get some more Relic stuff out. We still have more partner stuff to make. We've made 3 really good games that are really different from each other and also really different from everything else on the market. That's really interesting. And I also got it's been a murder to huge success. I've since in the same, I think I worked on about 4 or 5 other board games in different capacities, which is exciting. I worked on British versus Pirates and the Pug game that didn't end up coming out, and I've learned a bit more about the industry. And last night, the chat that I did on Sunday, well, the interview I was supposed to do on Sunday was was it a freelancing to self-publishing, a role-playing odyssey or something. That was the original title of the session. And yeah, I've been self-publishing on and off in different ways since about 2012, but it's really been the last 5 years that I've been doing it the most. 5-6 years. And we've done different things, and some things have worked and some things haven't. And I've learned how important it is to have just a ton of money behind you. That's been important. As I say, I think that's actually going to affect as Kickstarter. The more that people get sick of Kickstarter, then you don't get less Kickstarters, but what you get is a market that's very divided, because you can't afford to be a middle ground kind of Kickstarter anymore. You need to probably make 20 grand or 15 grand if you're lucky, and so you probably go for 12 or something, or 10, and hope to get to 15, kind of like what we did. Money, exactly. Or you're CMON and you go, as I said to someone the other day, we did the math on the Moonrakers Kickstarter that was about a year ago, 2 years ago, and they spent like 200 grand on advertising, and they made $1 million. But that's just you need those kind of numbers to make multipliers. And I think we'll probably even see less of those, because that market is fragile, and who not many people want to put up 200 grand to make $1 million and that's when that stops paying off, because I think a lot of people will just go, yeah, but now that it's 25% down and I'm only gonna if I put in 300 grand and only get 500 grand back, I'll move on and find something else. Or it has to be more of a sure thing. So it has to be a product. That's why, as I say, this year we've had a Magic the Gathering thing about Lord of the Rings. There's a Lord of the Rings that's about Magic the Gathering. Everything is crossing over. Everything is Marvel. Everything is, it has to be a big brand to begin with, because nobody wants to take risks anymore. The wacky, hey, this is 4 games in one, and you play it underwater, and it's got 16,000 miniatures in it. See a bit less of that. Probably see more storytelling games, because it's cheaper to pay writers to write thousands of little bits in a book, because writers work for tiny pennies. We're turning into novels in many ways for games. If you know anything about the novel industry, of course, then nobody makes any money in the novel industry. Even the biggest successes are making something like $10,000 a year. Like, there aren't any Stephen Kings anymore. J.K. Rowling's very, very rare as well. And a lot of it is self-publishing, like we do in gaming. I have a friend who she's published about 12 novels, maybe more, and most of them she's paid for herself. She pays for them, and the company's like, okay, we'll publish them and we'll send them out to a few bookstores, but you do most of the work yourself. You call the bookstores, you go to the cons, you do sales there, you arrange appearances and things like that. We're just a publisher. We might get a good editor, you might get an agent if you're lucky, but the gap between what is self-publishing and what is being published is shrinking in novels and in games, as it always has been. I mean, in games, there's certainly a lot of people who will do a lot of the stuff for you, like the self-publishing in books is a bit different in that regard. So the game companies will do a lot of advertising, and book publishers will do that as well to some extent. But they have so much product, and the difference I think is that there's actually a few very large publishers. There's actually there's a small handful of publishing houses. So they'll just go, here's our books for this week. Whereas in board gaming, there's still dozens, maybe even hundreds of smaller companies. Right, this month's game, we bought off Bob, and we need to sell 10 copies of it, so we're going to promote the shit out of it for Bob. And so, you get those sort of things. Interesting times. I mean, one thing that I've been told, and I've learnt, is that the gaming industry changes very, very quickly. It is a game industry driven by novelty, more than anything else, and also because it tends to be a lot of owner operators and small things. It can change quickly. So we can go, oh shit, everyone likes these now, right? And then and now that there's volume, we're getting a lot of copies. I don't know if we're going to see something quite like 1983, but the video game industry has certainly crashed more than once. The difference is that there was a few large companies, I think, making a lot of the games, or rather they had subsidiaries. So nobody is going to print 50,000 copies of the next zombie game and then pulp them. But I guarantee you a lot of the board games that get published, they will raise, maybe get 600 backers on Kickstarter, print 1 or 2K, they'll sell maybe another 500, and everything else will be pulped. I've seen designers just going, yep, these are the ones being thrown away or sent to charity, or they go in someone's garage. And that's always been a part of the industry to some extent. But the more that there are people who are just doing, I want my game out there, there's certainly a lot of things being pulped, but it won't look quite like that, because the Nintendo thing, again, I think there was because of the actual manufacturing of the plastic and the software, had to be a sort of an investment of going, we need millions of these because we don't know what's going to be popular. People are rushing into shops and yanking them off. There's also the mainstream appeal. If you made a new, you could see it for something like I bet there's probably a lot of Cards Against Humanity's clones buried somewhere, because everyone's like, shit, it's Christmas, that's what's popular, make thousands of those games. And it might be, there's so many, you see it now, you walk down, you go to one of those those $2 shops or weird sort of collection shops, and they're like, here's 100 copies of that game I just mentioned, who's just went out of my head. So things are changing, and I think we might have been a little bit ahead of ourselves in predicting that people are sort of stepping back, because there's definitely a lot of demand still for people for Big Shiny. Oh, another bot backer. I think that was just a $1 backer. Nice. And yeah. I joined a group about small batch present publishers, and I like that name. Yes, Cards Against Humanity. My brain is very, very flustered. We were having a conversation like a week about what we were going to do with the stretch goals, and I just stopped talking for about 10 minutes because my brain was trying to figure out something, and it blue screened like crazy. Um, yeah, but it's less hot for once. We've got out of this heat wave, so I should be able to recover a little bit. Um, yeah, but Funko Dolls is an example of things that are in mainstream shops, are made by one sort of singular company, and demand fluctuates. Whereas board games, smaller shops, smaller numbers, nobody's printing a million copies of, except as I say, crabs adjust humidity and so forth. Um, yeah, I mean, I actually was when I was talking to the guys from Cut, which is a website that started off. As I say, the funny thing about Cut is it also shows the way trends change. The website started with guys eating hot wings on camera. And then, because that was a trend at the time, and then it became reaction videos, and then it became playing weird board games and weird party games on videos. And then they were like, "Oh, we should publish our own game because we have like a million followers now." And that's sort of everything's being driven by that sort of thing. That's why I sent off a few things to people who had followers on. I said, "Hey, here's a game idea for your game." Um, uh, what was my point? See, as I told you, my brain is failing. Let's get to 16666. That'd be cool. God, I've lost what I was talking about. If anyone wants to remind me, that would be good. Um, oh yeah, Cut. Yeah, but they recently went to Target and they went with 20 games to say, look, will you help us publish these, and you'll get a cut of everything you sell. And my game was luckily able to be one of them. But all of them got turned down apparently because Target was saying, we've got a lot of party games. So I wouldn't be rushing to my. I mean, I say that, but 6 months ago I was talking to someone who worked for a big conglomerate, and they're like, "We love games that you can teach really quickly." But I think it's the finer details. Like they are not quite Target, and they're looking for things a bit more like point salad and things where people are like, well, I've graduated from a party game. I've played party games for the last few years, and now I see, Cards Against Humanity as like pulling out a guitar at a party. It's just a sign of badness, and I want to play something that's a bit more clever. Um, at least a bit different. I played a game last night on the weekend, which is very much like a drinking game. Um, but the little bit of cards just makes it a bit easier sometimes to get it to the table and play it. If you're not doing a drinking game, you can still laugh about it. And cards are really good for that. Cards are was something we saw at the interview the other day. Cards are a great to provide people with structure and something that they know what to do. And what's generally missing from most role playing games is something physical to touch and to hold, except your character sheet. Um, and um, that's a problem. That's one reason why they're harder to get into, and that's why that's why we have cards in the score. That was why. I mean, it was part of the competition, obviously, but the cards work really well to just go, hey, this isn't an RPG; it's a card game. Here's something you get to touch. Uh, yeah, snobbery is weird, but I don't. When I was talking about Cards Against Humanity, there, I don't necessarily mean they're being snobby so much as they're looking for something new, you know. Um, uh, and some things have been played out by all means. Snobbery, I see things like, well, that kind of game isn't a game, as opposed to that's not a very good game. Um, I think that's a really important difference, and um, yeah, um, I find that I think that's a really tricky conversation to have. Um, it's very easy to get accused of being a snob um, but I also think it's really important to you know to encourage people to find better ways to do things. When I'm talking about that, I mean, obviously I'm a connoisseur and I have a maybe a more particular palate and I'm more sensitive to a game that's just like, nah, you didn't quite get to your goals. Everyone's like, well, we sat down and had beer. I don't care about the rest. But nobody says only watch bad movies. We do it in some things, but not others. Oh, I guess we do that. It's like I only want to watch popcorn movies. I only want to watch Hollywood movies. I don't want to watch these artsy fartsy things. And it's like, well, you're saying you don't like things that are good. Um, you know, you that's sort of self-selecting for bad quality. Um, and we have this weird thing where without wanting to gatekeep, we should say that quality belongs to everybody, and that's something that the art world kind of knows to some extent. Like the art of the didactic panel is you've just walked in off the street. Why does this Rembrandt matter? Why is it good? And some really good work has been done in museum work in trying to do that. And I think that's really important. And there's actually a lot of stuff where people will go, "This is why this bit was good." You just watched the scene or this TV show. You saw that bit where there was that great line in that thing. Here's why it worked. This is craft. This is skill. This is art. This is how it works. And we don't really have that in board games. As I keep talking about, we don't really have enough connoisseurship, and that's partly because of the internet. Um, it's a medium that's grown up with the internet, and the internet does not like criticism. It because people are hostile on the internet all the time. Um, and Yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about. I do it. I talk all the time about why television is good to my lovely partner, and she's keep going. I did a degree in literary criticism. God damn it, I know this. And I'm like, but I'm excited. I'm excited. Look, that was the diegesis crossing over into the exegesis, and here they're like paying off an arc, and here they're using visual metaphors, and she's like, I know, and I'm like, but it's exciting. Um, and Yeah, I do that with games too. Um, I just think, yeah, I think there's lots of cool shit in the world, and we should talk about them. Um, and that's sort of the flip side is you should never be tell the cat instead. That's a good idea. Yeah, just pick her up and go. Do you see how they use the themes and develop the motifs? Um, yeah. we've talked about actually doing doing a podcast with Keith where I just talk about why games suck. Um, and I have loved that we've finally broken through some of that that sort of fear of um, uh, and then you've got the lovely people at um, Dice Tower who now have a feature called Six Games I Played That So You Don't Have to, where Tom talks about games that just suck. And we've finally gone, yeah, if the game number's gone from 200 games a year to 2,000 games a year, a lot more crap out there. And as we get into, it's basically just luck what you find. You're just floating along going, oh, I found this. Oh, I found that. It's not about tell me what's new and what's good. It's actually like, I just picked up this. Is it good? And we should move into that sort of thing. So you're finding these games just along the way. And not like, does it stand up? We will tell you if the new game is hot, because those people are never going to tell you anything. They're just going to say, yes, it's really, really good because we've been paid to. Or we're going to be like, I love the new Marvel film, but here's some problems with it because it was problematic. And it's not really, it should be like, go to your game store, see what's there, follow a designer, follow an artist, like a comic book store. Anyway, we can always do better at explaining to people what's cool and what isn't. Even if they don't care, I will make them care. And I think, like not everyone's going to care about everything, but the doors are open. And we know that there's a better version of Cards Against Humanity because they exist and people play them and people go, oh, this is better. I've had people say that about my games. They're like, this is so much better than that game. And I'm like, yeah, that's because I designed it that way. I didn't just phone this shit in. And yeah, anyway, we have 10 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. 10 minutes left. And then I get to go and have dinner and lie down. And I have to do a post. I'll do a finish up post on the thing when we finish. Yeah, I mean, a scene. I think it's a good, healthy. That's a good point. I mean, good, healthy conversations are actually good for everything. And again, the internet doesn't like conversations. The internet tends to like arguments. Yeah, the discussion of what's good, what's bad. How do we find that what's good? How do we balance snobbery with actually recognizing what's good? How do we not turn figuring out what's good into a hammer to beat people with, which we like to do? It's like, don't play bad games. I've got a friend who barely plays games, but finds that Cards Against Humanity is a way for her to be with her friends, and she's like, I go online, everyone tells me I suck because I play that game, and it's like, that's not really the right answer either. And that's why the internet is touchy about criticism. Because things come into your face. There you are, reading something that's just little tiny words just for you when you're most vulnerable, and someone else has gone and said something loud and casual like, I'd rather set myself on fire than play that game. And you're like, here I am in my little private thing, and that word came in, and it's like, oh God, you're saying something that I love is bad. I feel attacked. The internet is bad for some of these things. And that's one of the one of the great things about the last few weeks is some of the wonderful discussions we've had in interviews is getting away from that and just going, hey, I'm talking to a human being. That means I don't have to expect people to react to this in the most toxic way possible, and also don't have to feel that I'm going to hurt people with everything I say, because it's going to bounce into their brains in the most invasive way possible. 8 minutes to go. 8 minutes to go. 8 minutes to go. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, long string. Nice to have people come with me, though. It's funny that I think I'm so slow, but other people are like, you make so much stuff, Steve, slow down. I see other people and I think, but I'm often comparing myself to literally everyone else. But some people are just much faster because they're not disabled, or they have more money, or they have more time, or they're just faster. But that's why we talk to our psychologists and we talk online about all the things that are in our brains and say, hey, this is dumb. I don't have to feel like I'm racing against everybody in the universe. I can just play a nice game now and then. Ooh, more pictures of the Lostria book. Hello. Yeah, that's how RPGs have, of course, survived, is by dividing. We're talking about dividing markets. You basically, two choices buying an RPG now is, $150 for a big ass hardcover book that can kill a mouse, or $5 for an indie darling, and that's 3 pages long, and you have to play it while you're on something. Yeah, and clever companies are putting out less books, spending more on them, but also demanding, going, who wants the deluxe edition? Tis the way of the beast. And I think that's definitely a problem with capitalism. Is it doesn't have to be a world of minnows and whales. It's just that markets like minnows and whales, because whales are predictable. Whales bring the big money in. If you're a casino owner, you can throw on a shrimp buffet for the 100 people there to lose $5, and you spend all other money on the guy who comes in every day to lose $10,000. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know that that's like, it certainly divides. It makes it very emotional like that, where you see the giants and the underdogs. But it's often easy to get confused about who's who, because the sales and things obfuscate that. A lot of really cool in indie design think that company X is just because they're less indie in some perceived way, and it's like, unless you're Wizards of the fucking Coast, you are indie as shit, and you just might be able to employ 2 people instead of half a person. It's not a meaningful difference. But yeah, it's more that what happens is, it means you have to divide your market. you know, and you end up basically picking one, and like Kickstarter just well, yeah, you can find ways for each thing to work for each type of thing, but I wouldn't mind a nice board game now and then that's a little bit pretty. And I wouldn't mind a nice small game, but I have to pick one. And I don't have the money to buy a $400 board game that shoots rockets out of it and reunites orphans with their lost parents or something um and then I have to buy another $400 game the next day because the cool thing has come out again. I don't want to be in that hobby, and there could very much be a split down the hobby, like there did happens in comics, where it's everyone like, well, do you buy every single Spider-Man comic, or do you buy something interesting once a month, or do you only buy collector art editions and do all these people actually get along and in common to talk about? Not always. And then, as you say, that gets emotional, it gets divisive, and it gets identity, and it's not good for the art form, you know. It's happening faster and worse to so many art forms. And then you get the games, the AAA games have to appeal to millions of people to afford themselves, so that they can sort of be. See, in that case, like in computer games, there aren't any whales, for example, because nobody's going to pay more than about $100 for. So their problem is when they want to make something that's expensive, is they have to make a game that appeals to absolutely everyone in the universe, and so quality just decays. And we will see a little bit of that as well. It's like, well, if in order to sell a $400 game, I've got to sell it to a lot of people to cover our goddamn costs. So either I drive the price right up and just appeal to whales, or I make something that's really bland. And we're seeing a lot of that. All right, 85 seconds to go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure dancing with you. We have made more than our goals. We've hit all our stretch goals. DLCs. Yeah, that's another way to basically turn people into whales. Yeah. 65 seconds to go. Will anyone come under the wire and donate $1,000? Probably not. Will Cate Blanchett decide to back this? I tweeted at Dean this morning, but it didn't get any attention. I don't know why I said Cate Blanchett, but Cate Blanchett swoops in. She was in Ocean's 8. She's like, really great. You've got 42 seconds. Here's $10,000 and a hug. That's what everybody wants. $10,000 and a hug. And a monkey. And then, we can heist with that. But in lieu of that, we have 482 backers, and a lot of them tipped. And you can do a fair bit with a small fan club, and we've built that up. And you and me, Peter, we've done some pretty great things. And as my lady says, he doesn't just sit around having ideas, he does the thing. And we did the thing. 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Not bad at all. All right. I will. Look at all the confetti. Post an update, and then I'm going to have dinner and watch TV. Probably not a heist film. I'll probably go and watch something else like Gravity Falls. Clear my mind. Thanks for counting down with me, folks. And I will see you all in the future, where there will be robots.